Hey, ¿Qué Pasa Calexico? Welcome back to the podcast. First of all, I want to thank Calexico Brewing Company once again for allowing me to record here. Don't forget, next weekend is the Calexico Brewing and City of Calexico Oktoberfest, first annual Oktoberfest. Today's guest, well, right now we're in the middle of political season. I don't know if you've been driving around town, you see signs all over the place. I actually made a video last week and I was driving down Cole Road and this one candidate put signs all down Cole Road. And it's funny because a couple of weeks ago I was talking to my friend. I was like, it's kind of quiet. And then a couple of weeks later, you see all these signs. It's crazy. But yeah, it's crazy, but at the same time, it's a little bit fun. But today we have one of the candidates for Calexico City Council, Mr. Camilo Garcia. I actually reached out to you because I think a lot of people here in the community know your wife. She's really involved. She does a lot for people in need in our community. But at least for me, I kind of knew you because of personal my sister-in-law and your son. Like it was a personal relationship there. But I didn't really know you. A little bit of your background and stuff like that. So I kind of wanted to bring you here so that I could get to know you and the community as well get to know you. I know that you've been. I kind of like your slogan, "Yo soy Calexico," because I kind of have this thing in common where I'm not a born and raised here. I was raised here. I came down here when I was 8 years old, but sometimes you feel like when you weren't born here, you don't have family here, like you don't feel like part of the community, like so I guess I have that thing in common with you, and so I kind of wanted you to tell us a little bit. Usually, like every guest that comes in is like, tell me a little bit about yourself. So yeah, let's start with that.
Thank you. First of all, Mr. Alejos, thank you for inviting me today to come here and share my message with the Calexico residents and citizens. And then also, of course, thank you to Mr. Yepes. Great, facility, great business. This, in fact, one of the things that I'm promoting, and I'm actually making as part of my platform as I look to be your representative at the city council. But again, going back to your question as to tell you a little bit about myself. Well, again, and thank you for that, accolades about my wife. I know she's a great individual. She's well known about, around the community, and she does a lot. And that, I guess, that's the reason why, I'm doing this also. I'm doing this because we want to continue to help the community in different capacities. But again, I came to Calexico about 17 years ago. I have that, really the pleasure of come down during the summer months, which was probably
the worst thing.
Yeah, the one of the worst things that I could have done. And I even told my, Hortensia at that time, I said, I don't know how you guys do it. I wouldn't be able to make it, And then, 2 years later, I was here, and I got here, and I'm here to stay. Mm-hmm. So 17 years ago, came in from the first day. Besides the weather, I knew that this was a great community, and it still is a great community. Mm-hmm. It's a great community to raise a family. It's a great community to start a business. Case in point,
yeah.
So we have a lot of assets. We have a lot of potential. We just have to make sure that we put the know-how to work. Okay, so again, 17 years here in Calexico. What I've done also in those 17 years, I have worked for in the areas of workforce and economic development. I have actually done a lot of work in that, assisting people finding employment. I have also participated and organized, along with other agencies and individuals, massive recruitment events. Such as, the recruitment for the Calexico outlets. But we had about, 3,000 or 4,000 people come in to apply. Great partnership with our local school district in helping us put that event together. And then agencies that came together. And then also people showing up, which, having to, the experience to put those type of events together, it kind of like, provides you with a humbling experience. Why? Because you get to see so many people eager and ready to go to work, but yet also it makes you sad because you know that not all of them are going to be hired.
Yeah, there's not enough for her to go around.
Yes, but again, that's what I do. That's what I'm here. I've done a lot of work in that. I want to propose, to the citizens of Calexico, to people from Calexico, and even throughout the county, the different departments, the different entities, other cities, to join and to come together. And you made allusion also, or alluded to my one of my slogans, Yo soy Calexico. And I think it's not so much literally that Yo soy Calexico, but it's all of us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a matter of being proud of being from Calexico. And what does that mean? What that means that you are here and you're here to contribute. You're here to make the best out of whatever opportunity you have.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, there are many opportunities here in Calexico. We just have to go out and again get up again. I know there are a lot of people. I had the opportunity to go out and talk to people, and you get sometimes this illusion, and say, well, why do I have to get out? Why do I have to go and vote if it is the same people? So again, let's be proud.
Yeah.
Let's be proud. Let's say Yo soy Calexico. I am Calexico. So again, 17 years of a Calexico residency here, and then also working with the community, especially in the area of workforce and economic development. I want to make sure that we bring that to the table. We contribute. We put that element that I think has been missing for a while.
Mm-hmm. So before usually for people that when I interview people that I really don't I kind of like to have a conversation before we even started the podcast, right? So we were having a little conversation outside, and you mentioned that we as a valley, we're known for agricultural work. We provide a lot of that essentially provide a lot of jobs, but we were talking that the workforce that does the agricultural stuff is getting old, and at the same time it's not being replaced. And we're talking about how it's a good thing because kind of shows that our youth is not is getting better prepared not to go work, and it's not looking for those jobs as a main source of employment. But at the same time, we're losing those jobs, and it might be because of that or because of automation or so we were talking about how we need to change our way in the sense to incentivize those people, those young ready to work people to come back and have something for them to come back. And because sometimes we do see a lot of people go in and they don't come back, and it's bad because it's kind of sad because we're letting go of someone that's ready, that's someone that's intelligent, that's willing to put in the work, maybe work for the city, maybe bring some new ideas. So we're talking about how we need to change our way so that we can attract more. What do you think we can do as a community to change that?
Thank you. And you're right. Part of that experience in working for workforce in economic development, doing some of that also, you get to see how trends change as far as economic activity or even industry. And you're right. Also, we used to think that agriculture is our main industry, and and again, that's something that is us agriculture, or used to be us agriculture. But what has happened with that industry, again, you said it, automation, technology, that is replacing also some of that manpower. But then also you also mentioned that the workforce is aging, and it's not being replaced.
Yeah.
So good thing, bad thing. So that has yet to be seen. So, but in a recent study that was actually published, the main industry that came up as with the highest employment is actually government. So, examples we have the border right here. We have CBP officers, Customs and Border Protection, Border Patrol. We have teachers. We have police officers. Even me, I work for the county.
Yeah.
So I'm also part of that industry. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to diversify our economy. We need to make sure that we go out there and promote, and we have a strong actually plan to attract businesses, to make sure that not just attract businesses, but also support our existing businesses, our small businesses, such as this one.
Yeah.
And as you recall, we were talking earlier with Mr. Yepes that he's kind of like a pilot type of industry, because it's up and coming.
Yeah.
But this is not something new. It might be new to this area, but if you go across the border, I mean, that's an industry that is taking off.
Yeah.
If you go up the mountain, in San Diego, that's an industry. In fact, it's one of the biggest industries right now that they're looking at, and they're trying to make sure that they work with that industry. Why? Because there's potential, not just potential for employment, but also as a way to attract visitors. How many times do we hear that, they have events, they have, like the one that is coming up, Oktoberfest, that's something exciting. Yeah. Not just exciting for that industry, but also for the opportunity to have people come out and actually participate.
Yeah. And sorry to interrupt, but just to make a point on the Oktoberfest, they're having breweries from Julian, San Diego, all around the valley, Mexicali. So, I think that's going to bring people from San Diego, bring people from Mexicali, from around the valley. So it's, that's a way that, and I don't know if it was a sole idea of Calexico Brewing Company, but I feel that they are, as a new business, they're really trying to bring that sense of community back into our town. And at the same time, it's creating maybe job opportunities, maybe a little bit more income from other, people coming in. So kudos to Calexico Brewing, and I mean the city of Calexico is also involved in this whole
effort too.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's the perfect example. Why? Because one of the things that I hear, I actually heard many times, as I continue to talk to people, is that in the past there were many events where the community came together, right? Where there was an activity or something to do in the city. Yeah. Okay. So, and that was probably the best time to actually see people, to catch up with people and get to know people also. And why is that important? And not just on feeling proud or working on bringing back the pride of being from Calexico, from going back to only Calexico, when that actually meant something that it was proud. And it went beyond just the phrase only in Calexico, and then all of a sudden that phrase took a different meaning. Yeah. Okay. But I'm glad that we're going back to that. I'm glad that actually people are getting together, and whether, Calexico Brewing Company, whether they spearheaded this event, but I think being from Calexico on itself, that will give them a great opportunity. That's why it's so important to support our local business community. That's why it's so important that, that we go out. Whether you are beer, you like beer, you drink beer or not, but just to go out there. Yeah. And in numbers, the presence of people actually attracts positive reaction. Yeah. Okay. Attracts investment, attracts at least the spotlight will be in Calexico again. Yeah. That's what we need to do. We need to be the ambassadors. We need to be the ones that actually take the message and brings the message back to Calexico. Yeah. So kudos again, like you said, to Calexico Brewing Company and to all the people involved. The city, they have been doing actually a good job in getting back into, the business of actually working towards improving our image and also attracting. And those type of events, they do a great deal for us. Why? Because I don't know if you have experience, but just going, 100 plus miles to San Diego, and I don't know if you've ever been asked, where are you from? And you say, well, Calexico. And people, they don't even know where that is. Yeah. Sometimes they ask you, is that Mexico? Yeah. And we're only like 120 miles away, 120 miles east.
Exactly.
So now imagine as you keep going, more inland or more north. I had the opportunity to, come from the East Coast. Live in the East Coast. So I got to be honest with you. Before coming here, you would have asked me 20 years ago, where is Calexico? I would have said, well, I don't know. I probably might have had the same, response.
Yeah, is that Mexico?
Yeah. But again, this is part of the things that we need to do to promote, to make sure that, again, wherever we go, we are Calexico. Somos Calexico. Yo soy Calexico. Yeah. Why? So, again, or just make sure that you are aware of, what do we have in Calexico? By far, we have one of the best, group of individuals, or individuals as far as, pride, as far as, workforce. I can tell you, I can go on and on about the feedback that I gotten, from, employers, from businesses that come to recruit or that come to, establish business here. But, and that's not to say just Calexico, but it's throughout the county.
Yeah.
But at least, I talking about Calexico, there's actually proof that, again, Calexico has one of the best people. And I think that's one of our best assets that we need to put out there. I know we have plenty of resources, but we'll get more into that, as we continue our conversation.
Yeah. So you mentioned that, we have to diversify our our economy. Like, our downtown is a sore eye in our city. And it's sad because, I remember when I first moved here, downtown was, always bustling. Like, there was people moving around. And now it's kind of like dead. It looks like a ghost town, kind of, some of the businesses. What do you think, what can we do to inject like a little bit more life into it?
Sure. You know what? Downtown, has to go through a revival. There has to be a renaissance. Okay. I know there's some ideas, and in fact, it was approved a mixed-use, measure or idea for downtown where, you will have businesses at the bottom of a building, and on top you will be residential. But, and that's a great idea because I've seen it before. I've seen it in places where I lived before, and actually
Imperial has this.
Imperial has that, at a local level. But then you go to a big city, go to San Diego, go to the East Coast. That's something that has been put in place, or at least has been used as a strategy to revitalize, to actually bring back, activity to downtown, to even clean up, a certain area.
Yeah, I see. How I see it is that if you have people living there, it'll be ice to keep it clean. Keep vandalism down.
True.
Kind of like a little neighborhood watch kind of thing. Obviously they live there, so they want that area to be nice and clean, and so I feel that that will be something to help. Make it look a little bit better, than it looks right now.
Of course, and that's just one thing, but also you said it. As you have people moving in where actually that's their residence, you have to take pride on where you live, and I think all of us do. I mean, we take pride on our home, whether it's fixing up our yard, fixing up our house, make sure that it's clean. So that also comes with that, and not just that, but also. I think you will bring more traffic, more pedestrian traffic. And then another thing that I can see is develop a theme. We are, again, going back to being, proud. I've talked to people. They talk to the hot dogs from 2nd Street. They talk to, they talk about places that were there. Even the JCPenney, that now we can say the old JCPenney building, which is sad.
Yeah.
Right? But that's an institution, and just looking at those buildings, just from the architectural point of view, I mean, those are jewels. Those are things that we need to really, use them as an asset, as something that we can promote and develop again, a theme, a strategy to make sure that we attract, make sure that we promote. That's something that
even the water fixture that we have downtown.
Sure. I mean, you've seen it in different promotional campaigns right here. So that's something that I even myself, I don't know who owns that right. Hopefully it's not copyrighted, and I don't I don't get fined. But if I do, I'll be more than happy to apologize, but also thank him for allowing me to use without permission. And but that's what I'm talking about. Developing a theme, developing some sort of identifier that we can go out and say, this is who we are, regardless whether it's downtown, regardless whether it's the city. But going back to downtown, again, what I will propose is that, there's a business improvement district that hasn't been very active, and some of the local merchants from downtown contribute to that, or the merchants from downtown contribute to that fund. And I'm pretty sure they expect, some sort of, I guess, return on that, those fees. Yeah. And not just, even if they didn't expect something in return, but I think it's on all of us to go out and make sure that we clean it up, make sure that we patronize those business, right? Make sure that, going back to diversifying, imagine, and this is something that, if given the opportunity, one of my I guess, points that I will push, and one of my ideas and strategies will be to, again, bring back downtown through economic development, through business promotion, through mixed use, residential, cleaning up. I mean, we have, usually you see downtown, if you go to downtown around 2 a.m. in the morning or earlier than that, the activity. It's a lively, city there. Yeah. Just that, a few blocks. But then 5-6 o'clock in the morning, everything is gone. And what you see is probably the remains of they had a burrito.
Kind of like a after party.
Yeah. So, but again, what I want to invite it's to, develop a collaborative effort. Talking to maybe the farm labor subcontractors, that's where they pick up their workforce. I know there has been quite a few efforts to relocate and to have a central point of a transit hub. So maybe we need to go back to that. Maybe that's where we're going to have them be picked up. Or even as they use our city, our downtown, our infrastructure to contribute. And they might do that already. And they do that through fees and other things that we charge them. But again, if we go out, if we offer, additional services, additional accessibility, to those individuals, I think we can do something to solve, at least to clean it up. And then with that will come investment. We have to go out. We have to make sure that and not just the city employees, city hall employees, but also as a council. This is not criticism from the president or the previous, city council members, but we have to do our part also. I said it before and I say it again. We have to be the ambassadors. We have to be the conveners. We have to be the ones that put these, strategies together, bring people to the table. Whether it's industry, from the farm labor industry, whether it's downtown merchants, everybody, making sure that we sit, we strategize, and we agree that it's for the benefit of all of us. And just the community in general. I think they need to be involved. I always tell them, what are your needs and what are your wants? Okay, what do you need now? And what would you like to have in the future? Yeah. Okay, and you'll be surprised, what are some of those things that you hear. But again, we'll expand on that.
Being someone that works in the workforce, services, where you try to find people employment, something that is associated not only in Calexico but in the valley. The nepotism, the compadrismo. How do you feel that? I'm not saying that it's something that's that's affecting our town, but it can, if how do you feel that? How do you feel in the sense that we need to hire the right person for the right job, and what are your feelings towards holding people accountable for what they're doing? If you're a public employee, you're working for the taxpayers, for the community. So how do you feel that sometimes we need to deal with that kind of sense? We need to say like. I'm here to give you like a job, like a review of how you're doing your job.
Okay. A performance review.
Yeah, performance review. How do you feel? Dealing. We need to deal a little bit more with that, and in the sense that I think nowadays it's we feel that it's been more of a topic in our city council meetings where we've the community has been out there and demanding for us to hire or to demand that the people there are doing their jobs. How do you feel like we need to deal with that, or how do you feel it's affecting our community?
Okay, so in fact that was one of the things that came up at a recent forum that took place about 2 weeks ago, where they said, what are your ideas for Calexico? Okay, so I know that the previous city manager hired or put a team in place, executive or administrative team in place where they were tasked with again bringing economic development, improving our infrastructure, the streets, and just to kind of like get everything back in order. They hire a finance director. They hire also a human resource director also. So that way, all of those, as far as the city or city hall to function properly, you said it. There has to be clear policies, and policies not just in paper, but someone that adheres to that and applies those policies for the benefit and to avoid any type of situations like the ones that you mentioned, nepotism, compadrismo, and everything else. And my background for the last year and a half, I've done program and compliance, which deal with some of that. I at the work that I do Monday through Friday, or even sometimes after Friday. But my thing with that is that because we're such a small community, sometimes it might seem that it's who you know and who you kind of like associate with, and that's probably what will open up doors for you for a job or to move up in a job or employment opportunities. Let me share a personal story with you. When I came here about 17 years ago, again, at the beginning of this show, you mentioned my wife and being well known throughout the community. But one of the things that she told me was, you know what, you're gonna do your own job search. I'm not gonna do nothing for you, and that's true. She didn't help me out. Yeah. Okay, and you know what I did? I actually went out, and I went out. And the first time that I went out all dressed up. I had a suit and tie. I had a briefcase with my resume, my letters of recommendation, and other things that I thought that that was something that I was going to need. I walked into an office. They looked at me like, are you selling something, or what type of literature are you distributing?
Where's your encyclopedias?
And again, I'm not kudos to those individuals that do that. It takes a lot, and it's really hard to sell, but being a salesperson. But so anyway, so what I did, I actually went out and started like knocking on doors, asking for a job and employment opportunities. So just kind of like introducing myself, selling myself, and a lot of times, and probably you've gone through this, so you probably know of people, and I'm pretty sure that all of us have gone through that. Where you go and looking for employment, and most of the time the answer is no. No, there are no jobs, so we don't have a job, right? And usually we walked away, and that's it. That's the end of that, and we never go back. Yeah. And what I used to do, right? I used to hand out my resume. And it's like, here, if something opens up, or if you hear something, here's my resume. Give me a call. But I didn't wait for that phone call. I went back, a week later to follow up. And the reason why is because I left my resume because I wanted to leave the door open. So now, going back to your question on nepotism, I think, again, it's perception sometimes, but it's also on us because the time that you take to prepare yourself, and not just academically, not just, having the experience, but also the way that you present yourself, even your appearance, the way that you approach people, the way that you sell your skills, the way that you do an inventory of yourself, your skills, what you've done. A lot of times we actually sell ourselves short. We say, well, I haven't done that. I don't have experience in that. And then all of a sudden you start, no, when I got here, I never thought of myself as being someone that worked in customer service. And then I said, no, I did. So I changed my resume and I put that in there. So I think it's just knowing how to sell yourself, being persistent. And you know what they say, and to that extent it's true, that, the job is not going to come to you. You have to go to the job. And even sometimes you have to create your own opportunity. And how do you do that? By you showing up, by you following up with the employer or with the prospective employer and say, you know what, I'm here. I was here a week ago, a couple of days ago. I'm just following up on my resume. Let me know. And sometimes because they see that the persistent, you see that you really want that opportunity. You really want to be given a shot, to prove yourself. So I say, well, you know what, ya me enfadaste. I'm already, tired to, see you here. And that's sometimes what, will create an opportunity for you. So again, I don't want to say that doesn't exist because it might, but it is also sometimes a perception.
I think it's a good point, but not in all cases. But yeah, and in some cases it is perception where, you're so and so's cousin or pariente, and you have the job. But as long as you're doing a good job, but yeah, it's those cases when that. Because from experience, I know for a fact that so and so has got the job, and yet he wasn't the best qualified. And you kind of know, like, oh yeah, I applied for the job. I'm like, you didn't get it. You're super. You're the perfect candidate, and yet you see who got it, and you're like, okay, now I see why. It happens because again, it's a small town. And what you said is a good point where, it's a small town and sometimes it's going to be perception. But, I feel like in many cases it's not. But yeah, I guess we got to pick and choose which ones are.
And that's true, where maybe that might be some of the things that happen. But again, if you go in through that route, sooner or later that is going to show.
Yeah.
Right.
But the thing is, like, sometimes even though when it shows, you're still there, but like I said, I feel like nowadays it's been more. I've been watching city council meetings, and I feel like more and more of the communities is demanding for whoever is in that position to do their job, and I feel that that's something that I think now with social media and a lot of people don't. I've been watching the city council meetings online, and you see the room and it's empty. But now that we have the opportunity to watch them online, I feel that it's gonna maybe open a little bit more eyes as to who's doing their job, who's not, and that way we can go in. Because a lot of people say like, oh, I can't go. Like for me, it's kind of hard to go to a city council meeting because. I have to go home. My son has practice. I have to take him to practice, and I don't have time to go to a meeting. But if I have time to watch it at home, and I have time later, and if there's a topic later on in the future that I know I want to address, I'll be able to make some time and go to the meetings. So that I feel that that brings a little bit more transparency to the whole situation.
And you're right. I think there needs to be transparency, and even us as citizens, we need to not just ask but demand the transparency, from our public officials, are not just elected, but just whoever works in public office. Why? Because we are the ones that pay for their salaries.
Yeah.
We are the ones that put them in that position. And then also recently at that forum, I was asked, well, what are your intentions? Is there anything behind it? I said, well, there's nothing behind it. Why? Because I decided, and so did the other 6 candidates also decided to get into this position to run for public office because they want to, not because they want to just probably be in the limelight and be known. I think all of us are there or are in this process because we want to contribute. And again, we're choosing these out of our own will. No one is forcing us. No one is pushing us. So if I do this, or if I'm doing this, it's because that's where I want to be. That's where my contribution is going to be. And you, as a citizen, as a taxpayer, you need to have not just access to me, or as a public official, but also you need to respond to me. You need to be responsive. Why? Because again, you are my employer, or you are the ones that pay the bills. And if you pay the bills, you're the one that is going to have a say on things. Okay. So again, when you do this out of the free will of your heart. You can choose. And I my response said I could have chose to say no, continue to live my life, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, or later than that, after work, and go about my life, But no, I chose to be here. Why? Because I want to contribute. But also I know that I'm going to be asked. I'm going to be questioned. I'm going to have to be accessible. And I hope the citizens of Calexico give me the opportunity to represent them. Because it's not going to be Camilo Garcia. It's going to be Calexico. It's going to be their what they want Calexico to be. It's going to be them driving the decision making, driving the agenda, not me. I'm just going to be their voice. I have my personal take on things, but again, I'm not there to represent just myself. I'm there to represent all the citizens of Calexico. So again, I will go out, literally going out as I'm doing right now. And in fact, I have people doing that for me right now. Thank you, people, thank you, crew, for being out there. But not just walking, but also social media. You mentioned that's a powerful tool. And I know that, we need to also make sure that we have the support, us as elected I'm a public, servant also to a certain degree, but also if I get elected, I will be a public elected official. So I want to make sure that people understand that, and I get it also. And I told my wife, I said, you know what, if this goes through, our life is going to change. And now actually has changed already because people are either calling, they're stopping by, we support you, we are with you. And these are people that we know, people that we don't even know yet, but they hear, the message and they like it and they're excited. And you know what? We welcome those individuals. So pretty much, I guess. Yeah, and that was like one of my next questions, like what made you decide, it's time, like, because I heard you say, like, I'm not a politician, but, going into this, like, you're becoming one. But I think one of the key points that you told me was that, I'm not a lifelong politician. I'm going into the business of politics because, you're obviously you're running for a position in city council. But, what made you decide, it's time, I'm willing to put myself and my family through this? Because, it's Calexico, you're going to have people who are going to, in the future, if you're in there, they're going to not agree with something you decide or and at the end of the day, it's I guess people take a lot of things too hard when at the end of the day, it's just, you're just one vote. You're not really, changing things. You're just one vote.
you might vote yes or no on something that people agree or don't agree, but at the end of the day, I feel that you're just, it might come to a point where, you're the decisive vote. But what made you decide to put yourself, your family, your wife, everybody in that position?
And you know what is so that's one of the things that, excuse me, that's one of the things that when you get into this business, let's call it a business, but you get into public office or seek public office, that's kind of like what you put yourself into, and you have to understand that going in, and you have to have the support, even before you start. If you don't have the support of your family, then you're not gonna make it, regardless of how much effort you put into. Okay, so that's key. That was one of the first things, if not the first thing that I did. Okay, make sure that I talk to my wife, make sure that I talk to my kids, and my extended family. They're also behind it. They're in social media, they're walking, they're setting up meetings. They're really involved.
Yeah.
But that, I'm thinking, okay, it's great, that support, but it's also it's a huge responsibility. Why? Because they're putting their trust in me, that I'm going to be the representative. And you said it right. I will be just one vote, and it takes 3, to pass an item, or even 4 sometimes. But again, in at times you might be put in a position where you might be the decisive vote, but going back to what I said earlier, I think what I'll do is look at the what's best for the city, and not what's best for me or for a single group of individuals. So it's more what will benefit the city, not so much that I'm going into with an agenda. There's no agenda besides helping out, besides making sure that we go back and we revitalize our economy, our downtown, and everything else. So it takes a lot. It takes, like we say, kind of like grow some thick skin, because things are going to be said.
Yeah.
People are not going to agree with you. And you have to understand that, there are going to be things where they're going to say, well, I don't quite agree with that. And it's always good to disagree also, because it provides for an opportunity to, exchange ideas.
Yeah.
If we all agree on everything, then I think we would kind of like we wouldn't be here. We would be in a position where, there's not much happening, because everything is just running by itself.
Yeah.
But no, where you have a community so diverse in opinions, in take on things, I think it provides for a very dynamic discussion. Whether it's at the forums of political forums, whether it's city council, whether it's at the dinner tables also. So, and I think we need to capture all of those opinions. We need to make sure that we go out. We need to make sure that we understand what people are thinking, where people are, hoping to see the change that happens in our community. Because, I can't really decide or guess as to what you might be interested in seeing in Calexico for Calexico. And in making a decision, I'm going to be making a decision for you. But hopefully, I did my due diligence when casting that vote, when making that decision. Why? Because, again, it's not my decision. It's all of us.
Yeah.
Okay? It's what benefits the city. It's what benefits our community, whether it's our youth, whether it's adults, our senior citizens, and just, or certain, institutions. I had the chance to talk to a few, city departments. And again, going back to talking to them about their needs and wants. And there are plenty. And they want the support. They want to make sure that, they have the tools, literally the tools to do their job. And I know we're in a financial constraints right now, but, how can we get out of that?
Yeah.
How can we move forward? Again, making sure that we rally as a community, making sure that, again, we have the best interest of the whole. So that's what I'm here to propose. That's what I'm here to put, to the community. I'm not making promises. That's one of the things that I will never do.
Mm.
I will propose, I will work, and I will make sure that I, make myself an asset to the process rather than an obstacle to that.
Yeah. Because I feel like a lot of politicians that make promises, a lot of times, they make promises that they can't really keep because, at the end of the day, you're just one vote. You can maybe push the city to go that way and hope that your other city council members agree with you, or the city agrees with you, or the residents agree with you. But when you make promises, like when you go back to elementary ASB or whatever, that you're like, we're going to serve pizza every day in school. It's not true. But yeah, that's a really good point. You can't really promise anything to anybody.
No, you just have to be realistic, but there has to be a plan.
Yeah.
And going back to accountability, what when I had the chance to meet with different departments, department heads, or even that rank and file, the busy bees, the ones that are out there, right? They said, you know what, we just want to do our jobs. And I said, I understand that, and I agree with you, because that's who I am. I want to make sure that I have the tools to do my job. And I told them, you shouldn't be doing politics. You shouldn't, go to politics to keep your job.
Yeah.
Right? That shouldn't be you. Mm-hmm. The politicians should be the ones, doing the politics.
Yeah.
Right? They should be the ones providing you with the tools, but not be a micromanager. I'm not going to go to the police department and tell the chief, this is how I want you to do this. Oh, I want you to do this. No, because that's not my job. That wouldn't be my job. There are proper channels, as in every organization. There are boundaries also. I'm not an expert on law enforcement. I'm not an expert in firefighting or emergency services, but we have the experts. So let's make sure that we give them the tools. Let's make sure that we let them do their jobs without having a cloud hanging over their heads that, maybe tomorrow you won't have a job. Maybe, there's going to be something else happening. So again, I want to make sure that we go after that stability. And we all know, not kind of like changing subjects, but we all know that we are a city that lacks a lot of, services. And those individuals are literally the first line of response, and someone that can save your life before they take you to the hospital.
Yeah.
Right? So imagine if we don't have, the appropriate staffing levels and resources. So I want to make sure that those resources are there.
Yeah. I
want to make sure that we go after monies, after grants, after, maybe some private, investment, maybe some, going to foundations and something that, again, maybe it's in the works. Or maybe not, because, again, we're short-handed.
Yeah. And just to make a point, I already talked to Chalo. He's going to be a guest on my podcast.
Oh,
so make sure you guys keep and stay tuned for that one. Yeah. But yeah, sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
Excuse me. So, again, there's plenty to go around, and I think, how do we look for those resources? How do we equip our city employees, our community? Well, again, we have to work. We have to develop partnerships, and it's not that those partnerships are not in place, but I know we're very proud to be Calexicans, and I know that a lot of times we go after, it should be only in Calexico. We should attract, investment to Calexico, and that's all great. But again, we need to partner with other, entities, other departments, other cities, whether it's the county. I know, a current supervisor, he's out there, and I know they're also in election season. Supervisor Rennes and Supervisor Escobar. Councilman Escobar. And they're having their minds that the right approaches to Calexico. So partner with the county whoever that happens to be, or even just with the different departments. I know that economic development, community economic development department, they go after monies. Recently they got a grant for Silly for their infrastructure about $6 million. So I mean that's something that they're doing.
Especially in us, for that we're border town. We have the agencies like Border Patrol, CBP, or Customs. That I'm sure that there's money there, grants there that we can look into, that we could kind of like patch into, that they have, that they could probably channel some money to our PD in that sense, or into our community, because I know like a lot of we help out the border, the Customs, when there's our police sometimes is tied up at the border, dealing with something, and yet we have all these citizens to even as it is, we're understaffed, and if somebody's tied up at the border, we got to make sure that there's somebody there that's letting them know that that we need help, and I'm sure they'll there's something out there that.
Oh, definitely, and that was one of my conversations that I had, because that has always been kind of like a topic of conversation. That you see that the ambulance over at the port of entry, or you see the PD responding, and how we are collaborating, and are we getting reimbursed for those providing those services. So again, there is some work to be done in that area also, and I know that it's really difficult dealing with the feds, with the federal government, but I go back to making sure that those avenues and relationships open or built, so we can make sure that we go to them, make sure that we talk to our congressman, congressman that represents our area, to make sure that also he advocates for us. That's actually going back to the question earlier as to holding people accountable and make sure that they work for us. This is our reality. This is something that we live and we experience on a daily basis. Other cities don't have those challenges or those issues where you're having to kind of like put your resources in an area where you might not get reimbursed, but yet we have to pay for that. So we have to make sure that we go out. We have to make sure that any opportunity that we have, we talk to them, that we're kind of like in our in their ear. And I know that our political capital here in not just in Calexico but in Imperial County, I think we need to raise it up, right? I think we need to make sure that we become relevant. If you have seen, especially at the federal level, and again, I'm not criticizing, but campaigning from those candidates is very limited. Why do you think that is? Because we know the answer. But we need to raise that political capital. We need to make sure that we go out and we question, we demand. Why? Because they're there to work for us and actually respond to our needs. So again, they do a great job, but I think they can do more. But who needs to be asking those questions? Who needs to lead that conversation? Well, again, start with your elected officials, and then the community, or both at the same time. But you need someone that is going to lead the charge. You need someone that is going to be able to, take and bring the message. And what is our message? That Calexico needs resources. Calexico needs to be at the forefront of everything. So we need to gather and we need to get together for the common goal, which is improve our city. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Camilo, we're almost at an hour. See how time flies when you're having fun. And usually when I have people in politics, I try to say, that I'm not endorsing you in this podcast. Maybe like at my personal level, I don't know. But this is just an informative, venue for you to come in here, talk to me, let me know what you're all about, and at the same time let the community know what you're all about. I want to thank you for being here. Anything else that you want to add before?
Of course, first I want to thank you for doing this and for doing what you do. In fact, this is, I think, is something innovative. Something that we need to promote and we need to support, not just as something that probably you took as a hobby, right? That's how you started it. Yeah. But I've seen that you have quite an archive of shows that you have actually talked to people.
Yeah.
But it's also an avenue to inform, and I hope that more people use it, especially to inform, especially to start a conversation. Thank you for what you do. Thank you thank you to the Calexico Brewing Company.
Yeah.
We need to get out and support businesses. And then also what I'm going to ask, I'm asking for people's support, this November 6th. Again, what I'm standing for and what I'm going to be proposing, it's, of course, support for our local departments, city departments, police, fire, and everybody else, municipal employees, so we can bring back and keep our resources and our services to the citizens of Calexico at the level that they deserve and that they need to get.
Yeah.
Then also, I want to make sure that, we diversify our economy. I will push for that. I will make sure that, we work on that to revitalize our city. And last, I want to make sure that we improve our quality of life. And that is very broad. Why? Because that's what will keep us in a path where we're going to be happy, where we're going to be successful, not just locally, but also in attracting opportunities and making sure that we collaborate with everybody. That's something that I want to propose, and I'm proposing. I'm making myself available for any type of discussion or any feedback. You can contact me at Camilo Garcia for City Council. Camilo Garcia, number 4, City Council, outlook.com, or at 760-423-9870. And thank you for the time. Thank you for the opportunity. And I ask for your vote this November 6th. Thank you.
Once again, I want to thank Calexico Brewing Company. I want to remind you about the Oktoberfest, this October 20th. I want to thank the listeners. We've been getting a lot of hits on Facebook. I want to thank everybody that's been liking the page. Make sure to share with your friends. Make sure to, kind of like put it out there. I think like you said, this is innovative to a lot of people, but to me, I've been listening to podcasts for years. So like to a lot of people in Calexico, it seems like it's innovative, but it's been something that's been out there for years. And we need to get that, I think I kind of sound repetitive because I always endorse, podcasting in my podcast. But yeah, make sure to and you can find me up on Spotify. You can find me on Google Play. You can find me on Apple podcast. You can find me on YouTube. But yeah, I want to, kind of like really push for people to, to spread the word in terms of podcasting. There's several in the Valley that are really good. But I feel that we need to, kind of like show everybody how to use it. A lot of people don't know how, this could be a really informative, venue for, especially, like for example, right now, people that are running for city council, in the future for services that are in our valley. And that's what I plan to do. But yeah, and if you want to sponsor me, you can sponsor me at my Anchor page. I would invest this money straight into this podcast, whether it's promoting the podcast on Facebook or buying new equipment. But yeah, I want to thank everybody. And don't forget to check out me and my son's YouTube channel, The Ivy Nerds. Your wife was actually a guest in our podcast a long time ago. We do all kinds of crazy videos. But yes, thank you everybody, and thank you Camilo, and make sure to go out and vote. It's really important that you guys go out and vote. It's your civic duty,
True.
And it's your voice at the end of the day. And thank you Calexico, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Thank you.